Hey, welcome back. So, this is going to be our first module in the course. We are going over the Muladhara chakra, the root, which, when you're in alignment, it's safety and security. It has to do with survival, it has to do with getting your needs met. The basics. Muladhara is located at the base of your spine, so your perineum. It governs safety, stability, survival, money, home. Basically think it's giving primal. It's giving having our needs met. Body parts that are associated with that: legs, feet, bones, colon, adrenal glands. And think stability, think grounding into the earth. The element associated with it is the earth. And here is the symbol for the Muladhara. It's the four-pointed lotus. So let's talk a little bit about how do you know your root is blocked. So the main block for the root is fear and guilt. Fear, like mostly Eastern cultures, in the West, it's blocked by guilt. So how do you know that? Chronic scarcity, living in lack, living in survival mode, not able to get those needs met. Even if you do get your needs met, you're always scared that it's going to be taken from you. You can't really enjoy your life because you're afraid you're going to always lose everything. Man type of paranoia. So always thinking that someone's going to get you. The IRS, CPS, the cops, person, everybody's out to get me. There's always somebody always looking over your shoulder. That exoteric type of religious conditioning that, we're sinners, God is mad at me, we're inherently bad. Things like that. Let me just check and see if I had any additional notes for that. Oop, I'm over here now. Being unable to ground. Oh, yeah. So my whole life, I was living in survival mode. My whole life. I always, I think I came out, one time I did a timeline therapy, actually, where it was like the first time I ever experienced fear was in the womb. My mom, I think, was abused while she was pregnant. But I can't confirm because I never talked to her about that, but it tracks. Anyway, always looking over my shoulder. There was a long time in my life where I was always scared that my older brother was going to come get me. He was a really scary guy and probably the main aggressor abuser for me in my life. Always afraid of that. Even if I moved addresses, there were times that I didn't know how he knew where I lived and he showed up there. It was scary. It induces fear because it's scary. Yeah, and like being unable to provide for myself, even though I'm like incredibly skilled and capable and smart, I've somehow always been drawn to jobs where it didn't make sense to do it. Like financially, objectively, wasn't gonna be able to support myself or cover bills with it, but I still like always found a way to do it. This was constantly scrambling. Unable to stabilize, chronic chaos, being addicted to that type of chaos, hypochondria. Anybody have experience with that? I have a friend who is very much a hypochondriac. Actually, we had a storm. We were told we were going to have a storm last night. It wasn't even really a storm. It was like strong winds for an hour or so, but she actually made like a little bunker underneath her stairs. She's like, I'm going right there after work. I'm not stopping to pass go. I'm not collecting 200. I'm going right there. And I was like, that's just constantly scared of something. But that's the classic root block. Always scared you can't make more money. But then when you do, it just, even if you are making more money, you just end up having more bills. You're not able really to get more than enough. You're barely able to get enough. How trauma disrupts our roots. So if you're thinking about childhood trauma, as you're a kid, that's what a child is. Living in an unstable home, maybe you had caregivers that weren't able to provide for you or weren't very attentive to you. I lived in a home where my caregivers were always shifting or chronically dysregulated adults, unpredictable emotionally. So I kind of learned to not have needs emotionally because that was inconvenient to people around me, or it would be exploited by other people. Like my brother was I always called him a terrorist because he really was like that. Like he would find out what you were feeling or what the pain point was and really and really hit you there repeatedly until you've had a fucking meltdown. That's like the main source of my complex trauma, my complex PTSD is that. That's what I experience on the regular. But it leads to trust issues, this inability to stabilize, always feeling unsafe, right? Not being able to feel safe and supported here on this earth, and rest in the knowing that the universe is holding you. If you have that unstable childhood, chronic fear, you're going to lose everything. Yeah, never being able to fully relax or enjoy what you have, enjoy what you've created consciously. If you have these subconscious things that are holding you back or blocks that are preventing you really being able to create consciously or having a stable and balanced flow of energy, man, it's intense. So in the Muladhara chakra, we are really focused on grounding, stabilizing, being one with the earth. Think about electricity, think about lightning. You need a grounding current to be able to release the excess energy. So releasing really what's not serving you, or releasing excess psychic energy. You need to be super grounded. A lot of people, when they start on this healing journey, they're like, oh yeah, I need to open my third eye, I need to get really connected with God. But if you do that and you don't have a strong grounding force in place, if you don't have a place for that excess energy, it can actually lead to spiritual psychosis, and it can actually set you back like a lot, or you'll end up in the psych ward, which is also terrifying. So strongly recommend working them in order and doing them one a week. And this is more just like informational purposes. The actual work we can do together one-on-one if you're really interested in removing these blocks. I do a technique that it's ancient technology. It's in the Rig Veda, one of the oldest texts known. Basically, we experience the feeling of fear, the feeling of guilt, and think of like, when was the last time I felt this way? And trace the feeling all the way back to the first time you felt that way. And I don't want to, I want you to know that like what you would be getting in a one-on-one session, but I don't want to give everything away, because my intention with this work is I know that this is my purpose here on this earth, is to provide this service, provide this healing, provide these offerings, and really be a facilitator. And I don't want to confuse the universe by giving all of my work away for free. That confuses it. If eventually I want to be paid for my spiritual gifts. That's the whole point of this business. However, we need to be able to provide some type of something to pique the interest, I guess, or for you to be like, oh yeah, I definitely am interested in learning more about that, or whatever. Anyway, that was a whole sidebar. But in order to grow fully and have these delicious, voluminous, healthy, extensive branches, we need to have a solid foundation and have really strong roots. And so that's why it's so important to really work the root chakra. I've noticed that one thing about it too is working these different chakras. It's I removed the block, but that doesn't mean I'm never going to feel fear again. That doesn't mean I'm never going to experience an adverse event that makes me afraid for my safety. You know what I mean? That's still that recently actually happened to me. But I do have tools now where I can say, oh wow, I can acknowledge this feeling is fear. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I do to deal with that. And really grounding in this solid foundation, creating this internal feeling of safety. If you're a person that had an abusive childhood, whether it was emotionally, physically, sexually, what have you, I think you'll notice that you dissociate a lot. I do. I have for years. It's one of my main hobbies is not being full present. In fact, that's why I was addicted to alcohol. It was my main hobby was escaping emotions and escaping myself and running, from what's inside there. But it's all about being able to ground down. But I think that abuse is what causes you to have those out of body experiences where you're it's not safe in my body, so I'm just going to go somewhere else for a little bit. And it becomes a habit. And so what we're doing is we're reprogramming, we're rewiring, we're installing some healthy coping mechanisms. And grounding is a really incredible healthy coping mechanism to deal with stress. Grounding also brings clarity through stillness, right? And it forms a foundation of internal safety. You know, once you have that solid foundation, you're deeply rooted. You can connect to it anytime. It's like plugging into the earth. You've got to have that good connection. Plugging into the earth is just as important as being able to plug in through the crown. So, so important. I can't even stress it enough. And like, I'm going to put a grounding meditation up on here too. This is one that I do basically every day. And it's like, I'll even do just a quick scan if I'm running out of time in the morning, if I'm running late, because I have this habit of sleeping in, because I love my sleep. I like to get as much of it as I can. Anyway, I think I've made the point. Grounding really important. Getting our needs met, having enough. How can we have more? How can we get more? How can we experience pleasure? How can we fulfill and create our desires if we're struggling to just get enough? Like, we got to lay this foundation and we got to hit it good, okay? We're going to build a good one. And I'm really excited to keep working with people one-on-one and like coming back around to this, you know, making sure we're laying another layer. We're laying another layer. We're like unshakable here. Okay, we've got a strong foundation. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck, world. So here's your homework. You're going to do the grounding one meditation at the end of this module. There will be a link. I might have it done today. Probably by tomorrow, I will have it done for sure because I'm home with my kids today. And I think it sounds like they're running out of a little bit of patience with this time. Look at this. It's a typo. I am an editor at heart, and or you guys know this, I'm a recovering perfectionist. Glad we found that. Glad we all got to experience that together, that, you know, nobody's perfect. But here we go. Oh, bonus points if you can do it outside with your bare feet on the earth, whether you're sitting in a chair, sitting on the earth, doing some walking with your bare feet on the earth. A plus grounding exercise. Visualizing those roots from your feet all the way to the core of the earth. And then experiencing that healing energy enter your body and really being able to connect that way. Oh, it's so good. And then the affirmation that you can use for this chakra, super basic, super easy to remember all the time. If you're experiencing fear, coming back into that remembering, I am safe and supported. I am safe here. I am safe here. My life is not in danger. Just because I was in danger then doesn't mean I'm in danger now. I am safe and supported. Okay, I love you guys. I'm going to get that meditation up. People are screaming, so I have to go. I love you so much. How do I make this stop?